we go. Okay, so the recording is now started. And I want to again welcome everyone to Discover Your Future in Healthcare for a Dietitian. We have 5 presenters today, and we are looking forward to hearing a little bit about the dietetics program and about some of their journeys and work that they do. My name again is Trevor Lehman, and I'm a career consultant with Career Services here at the U of M. So I'm just going to ask that we, maybe start off with just a quick introduction of our presenters. And if you just want to go around, maybe we could introduce ourselves and describe our role in the world of dietetics. Christina?
Want me to start? Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Dr. Christina Langell. I'm an associate professor and the director of the dietetics program in the Department of Food and Nutritional Sciences. And today we'll talk about our nutrition program, how to get into become a dietitian. And then we have these wonderful speakers that are going to talk about being a dietitian.
Mm-hmm. Perfect, thank you.
I can go next. Hi, everyone. My name is Taylor Friesen. I'm with the Faculty of Agricultural and Food Sciences in our Student Services Office. I've been an academic advisor for many years, advising our human nutritional science students through their program on degree requirements, application processes, and everything in between. So welcome.
Hi, and I'm Phyllis Marsh. I'm presently clinical nutrition site lead here at the Victoria General Hospital. I have quite a scope of experiences as a registered dietitian over the years. And with me is Taylor Anderson.
Hi, I'm Taylor Anderson. I'm also a registered dietitian. I'm a little newer to the field. I've been a dietitian for just under 4 years. So I'm excited to kind of present my journey as well in the 4 years that I've been with this career.
Okay, and I'm Kathy Vallanos. I'm a research and education dietitian for Health Sciences Center and cover some of the shared health region as well. And I've been in this role for many, many years. So I'll be sharing some of my journey with you today.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone. At this point, I'd like to now turn it over to Taylor to maybe discuss a little bit about the academics.
Great. I will
our program.
Look at sharing my screen here. Go sharing. Start. Okay. So I'm just going to go over what the route is to becoming a registered dietitian in Canada. So there are several pathways that students can take. There are integrated programs, there are non-integrated programs. Our program here in Manitoba, at the University of Manitoba, is an undergraduate program. So it is accredited by PDEP, the Partnership for Dietetic Education and Practice. The program that we offer undergrad require application to a post-degree internship. So there are 2 routes here. You can see there, you can go to a post-degree internship program or a combined master's practicum program. Currently in Manitoba, we do have a post-degree internship that is closing its doors. It is sunsetting in spring of 2022, and the U of M is really happy to announce that we are planning a combined master's practicum program that will start in fall 2022, and Dr. Langell is going to share a little bit more about that afterwards. But this here outlines the steps to becoming a registered dietitian, and just to summarize, an undergraduate accredited program as well as an internship or combined master's practicum that is accredited is required to register with a regulating body such as the College of Dietitians of Manitoba and practice as a registered dietitian. So here at the university, we have our Bachelor's of Science in Human Nutritional Sciences, and there are 2 routes that students can do depending on their educational background. We have the most common, our 4-year degree program that consists of 120 credit hours. The major is our nutrition option, and students who wish to apply for dietetic internships must complete the dietetics preparation stream that is housed under our nutrition option. And this includes all of the required courses as accredited by PDEP. There is another option for anyone who has already completed a first degree in any other discipline. They can apply for what's called our second degree program. And this consists of 60 credit hours. There's a dietetics concentration, as well as some supporting dietetics courses that would be required for accreditation purposes. So these are the 2 routes that students can take at the University of Manitoba to gain their accredited undergraduate degree. And there are 2 routes to applying for these programs. If students are coming directly from high school, they can apply for what's called direct entry. I've outlined the minimum application requirements here, and this is also found on our umanitoba.ca/admissions website as well. So students coming from high school can apply directly to our 4-year program if they meet the direct entry requirements, or go through U1 or science and then apply for advanced entry. So students who have a university background, either a first degree or a minimum of 24 credit hours and a minimum adjusted GPA of 2.0 can apply for our 4-year or second degree program. We have our large intake in fall every year. We do have a winter intake as well. It is based on the numbers we accept in the fall. So we accept 90 students every fall. If there are, let's say, 70 that we accept that meet the minimum requirements and enter the program, then that means we have 20 spaces in the winter. So always good to double check with our office to make sure that there's spaces if you are considering any winter applications for our program. And here's just an example of what our program, our 4-year program looks like. It's a little small there, but these recommended progression planning guides are found on our advising website. I've linked it here. And they outline the recommended progression. Of course, this is not always exactly how students follow along, and that's what my office is here for, is to help students progress through the program and meet the graduation requirements. So I've put our contact information there, aginfo@umanitoba.ca, for any advising needs that students or any questions that students have. That would be where to reach us, and we would help you plan, organize, and give you some advice on progression. And now I'll pass it over to Dr. Lingell to talk about our exciting new program.
Thanks, Taylor. Taylor has so much knowledge. So if you have any questions about applying to our program, please ask her and her team. They are just fantastic. So I'm Christina Langell, and I'm so excited to tell you about our Masters of Applied Human Nutrition program. It is at the approval stage at the university. There's many levels. So we're talking about this today. We're hoping and anticipating it will begin in September of 22 with applications starting in spring of 2022, applications starting in spring of 2022. But again, things can change, but that's what we're planning. So traditionally, and there's many different routes to become a dietitian, but you have to graduate it from, and this is what Taylor said, from an undergraduate program that has been accredited by PDEP. And so to apply to this program, you have to have graduated with from an accredited dietetics program. If it's here at the university, we are accredited. So, and there's also people that are accredited, that have graduated from accredited programs across the country. So what ours includes, it's a 1-year program offered through our department. And, oh, go back. Sorry, Taylor. Sorry. Our department through the Faculty of Graduate Studies. And to become a dietitian, you have to have done an internship program. So the Master's Practicum program offers courses and it's about 35 weeks of practicum experience. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. Okay, next slide, please, Taylor. So it is a one-year program, 3-semester program. It consists of graduate courses and competency-based practical experiences. So this program will also be accredited. It'll be the practicum piece will be accredited by PDEP, and that's our body that accredits programs in Canada. And so students that go through this program will be eligible to be dietitians as long as they're successful in completing the practicum experiences. And then they'll write the national exam in November after they graduate in August of 20. Here would be after they graduate. Okay, next one. Next slide, Taylor. Okay, so again, there's many levels of approval process. And so we need to, the final approval sits with the Board of Governors. That will be done, we're hoping, by the end of the year. And then we have to get accredited by our accreditation council, which is PDEP. And again, like I said, this is still approval in an approval process. So no final decisions are made, but yet we're hoping it'll all be in place by the fall of 2022. So what will the application look like? So the goal is to have approximately 24 students per year, and that would be the maximum. And that is because we place students will be placed in the practicum in rural urban settings across Manitoba, and also in Indigenous communities. So we need to ensure that there are preceptors that are dietitians to sign off on the competencies, because this is a competency-based program through our accredited body. Again, preferences to students from our undergraduate program. There are 2 routes of application. One is early admission in 3rd year of our undergraduate nutrition program, and then regular admission year of the year graduation up to 3 years after graduation. And that's based on the College of Dietitian requirements, because you're not eligible to become a dietitian or to enter an internship if your courses are over 3 years old. Then there'll be some upgrading that is needed, and the assessment is through the College of Dietitians of Manitoba here in Manitoba. The minimum to apply is a 3.0 GPA in the last 60 credit hours in the nutrition program. And the application will include resume, cover letter, your academics, any other academics, so your grades, and also interviews will also be conducted. Okay, we do try to do regular updates. We send them to our students in the program, but if you're not in our program currently, you can just check our website. We also have the same information posted there on the nutrition website in the Faculty of Agriculture and Food Sciences. And so when we're looking at, okay, so there are other, so if you finish from our accredited nutrition program, there are other programs that you can apply to outside of Manitoba, and they are available on the PDEP website. It indicates which universities which programs are accredited, and that they are looking to take students to complete internship programs. Okay. So again, steps to become a registered dietitian. So when you graduate with a BSc in nutrition, it is an amazing degree. Regardless if you go to be a registered dietitian or not, I want to promote that, because when we're looking at that degree, it is an amazing science. You have an amazing science background, a lot of insight, of course, into nutrition. You can call yourself a nutritionist. But I just want to mention there's a difference between nutritionist and registered dietitian. It is a regulated title, so you can only call yourself a registered dietitian if you complete all these requirements and the national exam and you're successful and register with the college in each province. the province that you practice in. So that is a very special title based on the educational requirements. So you need to complete an accredited undergraduate degree, complete an accredited practicum program, the MAN program, or other programs that are in Canada. There's less and less that are standalone programs that aren't integrated with the undergraduate program. Then you write the Canadian National Registration Exam, which is after you've successfully completed the practicum. And then you register with the college in the province you wish to practice. So here, everyone that's on this call is registered with the College of Dietitians of Manitoba. And I know that's a Cole's Notes version of what we do in our program, but if you have any questions, please ask. And I'm so excited to have some practicing dietitians online that will tell you about their incredible journeys and what they do for clients and for people in our province.
Thank you so much. If we do have questions, particularly around the academics of the program, if we want to just type them in the chat for now, and we'll make sure that we come back to going through those questions. Thank you so much, Dr. Lingel. I was wondering now if we could maybe move to a point to where we could take a moment to introduce everyone to introduce themselves and maybe talk a little bit about their own journey and work in the world of dietetics.
Oh, would that be me first then?
Absolutely.
Okay. Fair enough. I didn't want to just jump in if others were in line. So yes, I'm Phyllis Marsh. And first off, I want to thank the University of Manitoba Career Services for this opportunity to be with you today, and also to share what I believe to be valuable experiences in the field of my chosen career as a registered dietitian. As it's common with a lot of people, truthfully, the career path I eventually chose was not my first. My first position, or really passion, was to become a school teacher. However, advisors at that time expressed their concern, noting that I was far too quiet and too shy for a teaching career. On looking back to that advice, I believe that that's what put me into a place of wanting to prove otherwise. As I share with you my career path and the journey I have taken thus far. As a professional registered dietitian in the field of dietetics for over 30 years, I have had the opportunity to transition to a number of roles. My initial step took me from graduation at the University of Manitoba, then the one-year dietetic internship program, and then directly into a summer relief position at the Grace General Hospital here in Winnipeg. This relief term was immediately followed by full-time employment at a 120-bed general hospital, which included an alcohol rehab unit in Estevan, Saskatchewan. As a new grad and open to whatever challenges might come my way, I was given the opportunity to expand the traditional role of the dietitian at that hospital in Estevan. The traditional role at that time was to manage the food production and clinical nutrition services for the patients at the hospital. This opportunity for expanding the role of the dietitian position was one of the highlights in my career, as it included establishing a nutrition education program for the alcohol rehab unit, the introduction of an outpatient nutrition program for the health region, and I was also then given the chance to hire an additional registered dietitian and subsequently developed a regional nutrition consultation service for 6 other local hospitals within 150-mile radius of Estevan. This service included food service management, as well as inpatient and outpatient clinical nutrition consultations. Professionally, over the years, I've had the opportunity to initiate a local Canadian Diabetes Association branch, obtain my professional health worker certificate with the Canadian Diabetes Association. That was sort of a different type of program at that time. and also to serve on the board of Saskatchewan Dietetic, or the Association of Registered Dietitians, and subsequently became president of that association in Saskatchewan for a term. And more recently, I was voted onto the board of our national association, which is Dietitians of Canada, and subsequently served as chair of the board. As a result of those opportunities for professional engagement, I always advise new graduates to reach out beyond the scope of the job they are hired into, and to become involved in our professional associations and to volunteer with associations that are professionally related whenever possible. As it goes almost without saying that building a professional network is important at all levels, whether that be locally, provincially, nationally, or even internationally. While working in a rural community, I experienced extra time which I could dedicate to continuing education, and therefore was able to complete a correspondence course in healthcare administrative studies, and eventually a combined correspondence and on-campus program for a Master in Public Health degree through the University of Minnesota in affiliation with the University of Manitoba. After a number of years in Saskatchewan, I got married and returned to Manitoba. Without a job to come home to, I contacted a hospital administrator in Clyde Falls, here in Manitoba, to offer my services as a consulting dietitian to that region. She accepted my services, noting that regional nutrition counseling and consulting services had been an unmet need for a number of years. The service quickly expanded to include an additional 5 regional hospitals within Manitoba. And I'm pleased to say the service still continues to this day. For the past 30 years, I've been working actually at the Victoria Hospital in a variety of positions. Initially, I was hired on as a casual relief dietitian, and then that shifted over to part-time clinical dietitian. That was then followed to the position of director of dietetics upon graduation of my master's degree of public health. And then after a few years, my job quickly also further expanded to include manager of rehab services and the geriatric medical unit. It was at this time that a few branches in my career path actually coincided. One was the regional health programs were evolving in Manitoba and specifically in Winnipeg, which included the regional food delivery program, which we know under WRHA. And on a personal note, that was the perfect time to reflect upon a change in pace with the birth of our son and my maternity leave of absence. Then, on my return to work after my leave, I personally felt that as a new mom, it was a perfect time to reduce my hours and my previous management responsibilities. So I gladly accepted the clinical outpatient, which was a part-time position, which I had actually, interesting enough, established about 2 years prior to the time when I was needing my leave. So I accepted that position quite gladly at that point in my life. I continued to work in ambulatory services as the outpatient dietitian up to approximately 4 years ago, when I resumed again a full-time position as a clinical dietitian. And within that position, it includes inpatient clinical nutrition responsibilities to the medical unit, as well as 3 mental health units. I then also continued to serve as the ambulatory dietitian for outpatient services. My most recent career change occurred this past October, when my job responsibilities took yet another shift, and I accepted the full-time position as clinical nutrition site lead here at the Victoria General Hospital. Leading me to today, so my present role includes overseeing the clinical nutrition programs and the team of registered dietitians in affiliation with the rest of the healthcare team and the patients for whom we serve, whether they be doctors, nurses, all other healthcare team members, allied health, and the community at large. I have continued to maintain my clinical nutrition responsibilities with the mental health units, and also have continued with the outpatient nutrition counseling in addition to the management responsibilities that I presently have. So a day in my life as work here on site can include any one of the above responsibilities. So as a result of that, I feel communication skills, time management, goal setting, and ongoing review of priorities are really key. Although I have offered you a glimpse into the job opportunities and directions that I've experienced, there are a lot more career options available. And if I was just to share just a few, could be including marketing, medical specialty areas such as diabetes, renal, cardiac health, pre and postnatal, surgery. There's the age-specific branches, whether it be pediatrics, geriatrics, lots of others as well. And the list goes on as new areas continue to evolve. As with the evolution of job opportunities, the labor market also continues to grow at this time. It's common for initial jobs to be casual relief and on a part-time basis initially. However, given professional experience and a degree of patience by the individuals who are actually seeking the employment, jobs really do come available. If a person is willing to move to a rural community initially, that experience can serve as a stepping stone needed towards an urban, sought-after job. As an aside, and from my own personal experience, sometimes the job you weren't initially excited about becomes the highlight of your career. In conclusion, I hope that I have offered you a glimpse at my career path and the extensive journey I have experienced. In reflection, I can safely say that I remain so grateful for the numerous positive experiences and career growth opportunities that I have had. If I was given the chance to repeat the career path that I have experienced thus far, I would repeat it all over again in a heartbeat, truthfully. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was really, really inspiring, and I really enjoyed that. And it very much resonated as someone who initially was on the teaching path as well. I can relate to sort of following these interests that come up that aren't. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. So now I'm going to pass it over to Taylor, my co-worker. We work together, so I'll pass it on.
All right. Hello. Phyllis is really hard to follow. She has a lot of experience and some really good advice to give to you all. But I'm also excited to talk to you about my journey over the last 4 years as being a dietitian, but also prior to that. So again, my name is Taylor Anderson, and I am a registered dietitian here at the Victoria Hospital. But before I get into the now, I want to go back to a few years ago to when I decided what career I wanted. And that might be right where you are right now. So much like Phyllis said, I also have to admit that I did not start university with a clear dietetic path in mind. And maybe that'll be the path for some of you as well. What I did know is that I wanted to be in healthcare, but I also had a lot of other interests in other forms of healthcare as well. At the top of my list was to become a pharmacist. I had some experience working in a pharmacy in high school before I came to university. And also occupational therapy was something I was interested in as well. And of course, a dietitian. So that was on my radar, although I just yet hadn't decided. When I started university, I explored many different courses in my first few years of university, as many students do. The nutrition related courses were my favorite, and because of that, it did make my decision a little bit easier as I went on. I enjoyed the sciences. That was something that was a passion of mine, and I knew that I wanted to continue to pursue the sciences. I also wanted to care for others, so that was another big part of my decision. And you know what? I like food, I like cooking. So dietetics, it was a great fit for me altogether from all different areas. To solidify this career path for myself though, I did do a couple of things just to make sure that it is where I wanted to go. I reached out to a dietitian in my hometown. I'm actually from a small community in Northwestern Ontario, and I reached out to a dietitian there, and I asked to meet with her and shadow her. So although a different province, I did find it really helpful to know what her day-to-day was like, in just making sure that I was following my own passion as well. And this is actually something that I encourage for all of you. So if you do have the opportunity to shadow a career that you're interested in, it can really help you can picture yourself in that role and really get a sense of the day-to-day just to help you along in your choices. And just like Phyllis had mentioned in her presentation, getting involved in related organizations or on different boards related to the career path you want to take can also be beneficial in just helping you decide where you'd like to go in your schooling. So after I made my decision, I then focused all of my efforts and attention into developing connections in dietetics, volunteering in so many different areas of nutrition, shadowing a variety of dietitians also here in Manitoba to gain knowledge and experience to help me obtain a dietetic internship. That internship was really the official start of my dietetic career, and that's where my journey really began as a dietitian. So where did I go after internship? Phyllis was talking about taking on rural experiences as they come. So I actually started my journey as a nutrition and food service manager right out of internship, and I went to Steinbach. So I was the nutrition and food services manager for the acute hospital, as well as a personal care home that was attached. I was excited to explore an area that did pique my interest in internship. And I was also determined to work right away. It's something I wanted to jump in. I wanted to make sure that I was getting that experience right out of internship. So when this opportunity came up for me while I was finishing my internship, I definitely grabbed it. And that's another bit of advice that I would have for you, just like Phyllis had mentioned. I would encourage all of you to enter the workforce with an open mind and a flexible schedule so that you can experience all of the different opportunities that may come your way. So although I didn't picture working outside of Winnipeg right away, when the opportunity came up, I was really happy to get that. I did enjoy this new, exciting, and challenging role. It really introduced me to a lot of different areas, maybe not commonly known to relate to dietetics. So for example, human resource management. I was doing a lot of hiring and job descriptions, training, menu development. And so that was new for me, but I was excited to get that experience. So I was in that role for about 2 years, and something stuck with me through that 2 years. I really had a passion for the one-to-one patient care. So after about 2 years, I did take a little bit of a risk. I left a permanent full-time management role in Steinbach, and I accepted a 1-year term at the Victoria Hospital as a clinical dietitian for the medicine and geriatric rehab units. So again, taking a little bit of a risk, leaving a role that I did love to join a role that I really had a true passion for. And I mentioned term, as did Phyllis. So what do I mean by term? In the field of dietetics, among others, there are many opportunities to gain experience in term roles. For example, a maternity leave position, which is what I jumped into. So on a note, term employment can be a great way to have, to experience something new, to gain experience, to help your career along, and to network with other health professionals. And I'm excited to say that that term was actually the start of my ongoing journey at the Vic, which is where I actually am now. So I'm so happy that I did take that jump, and it brought me to where I am. And so where am I right now? Well, while I was in that clinical term position, an opportunity came up for me to pursue a really specialized outpatient dietitian role in bariatric surgery. And that is actually one of my current positions right now. So since this position is so unique, and I know Phyllis had chatted about some other areas of dietetics, I want to tell you a little bit more about it because it is quite the specialty. So the Victoria General Hospital is home to Manitoba's only bariatric surgery program. Bariatric surgery, it's not a quick fix, but rather a tool to assist individuals with weight loss and ultimately improve health outcomes afterwards through lifestyle changes. I, along with my RD colleague, there's two of us that work in this field here in Manitoba. We work with a specialized team of surgeons, nurses, a psychologist, and a kinesiologist. And what we do is we assess readiness for surgery, and we provide pre and post-op support to all of our patients through education, counseling, and specifically making sure that we are doing vitamin and mineral interventions. So that's a big part of our role after bariatric surgery. I really enjoy this unique role. I love the team aspect of decision making, but also having the one-to-one connection with the patients. We also have an opportunity in this role to facilitate classes. And of course, I really enjoy following the patients through their journey through our program in improving their overall health. Also, in and amongst getting this position, I did have a one-year position, part-time position that I took at a personal care home in Winnipeg. So the two positions really lined up nicely at the same time. And I was able to get a little bit of experience as a dietitian in a care home, which I also did really enjoy. Now, my current position as a bariatric dietitian is part-time. So very recently, an opportunity came up here at the Vic to attach another part-time position to my bariatric role. And so I am working 5 days a week full-time here at the Victoria Hospital with my bariatric position. And then I also work as an inpatient dietitian for one of our medicine units here. Part of my role also includes providing coverage for our geriatric rehab position and then for Phyllis as well on her mental health units. So quite a wide variety here at the Victoria Hospital. The variability in my weeks is so great. It's something I really enjoy about my positions right now. I love the balance of having the outpatient care, but also the inpatient care and a wide variety of nutrition care that I can provide to my patients. So doing the more acute care up in the hospital, as well as the outpatient counseling and education that I do in my outpatient role. I also have the opportunity in these roles to be a preceptor for both areas. So that's something I really have enjoyed over the last couple of years. And so to add that on, it really brings joy to my role. So I think that my roles now can be a really good example of the wide variety of dietetic roles that you may enter into. I think it's pretty cool that we can take our base knowledge and experience from our internship and apply it to a number of unique and specialty roles. Like I was saying, from food service management to a care home to bariatric surgery to mental health. So there's so many different avenues that we can take with the knowledge that we obtained through school as well as through our internship. Although it did take a little bit of time, a few years for me to get to where I am right now, it took some flexibility. It took a little bit of risk taking term employment. I am so grateful for my journey that I've taken so far, and I am so happy that I continue to pursue my passion. And so I knew it was what I wanted, and so I was making sure that I took the steps that I needed to get here. And that is what I wish for all of you as you do head into the workforce and whatever in the years to come. I encourage you to ask questions, to challenge yourself, and say yes to new opportunities, and of course, enjoy the ride through. So just to close off, I do want to thank you all for having me here today. And who knows, maybe our paths will cross in the future, and I wish the best for everybody here today. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Taylor. All right.
Okay. You can hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, well, I feel like I'm sandwiched in between Phyllis and Taylor a bit. And so everybody has a story for sure. And in the world of nutrition, our stories are definitely similar but different. I just want to echo some of the things that Phyllis and Taylor mentioned, which is sometimes your first job is not your dream job. It's a short-term job, but we do take a lot of little risks. We call them little stepping stones to get to where we are today, which is presenting to all of you. So I'm Kathy Vallanos. I'm the research and education dietitian at the Health Sciences Center. And my role expands to nutrition research opportunities within the shared health region. So I do work a lot with dietitians throughout the region at the different sites. I am one of one in the region, so it's a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing when you're in the position. It's a bad thing if you want to be a research and education dietitian. So hopefully one day there's more of me. We'll talk about that maybe a little bit at the end. But my journey started at the U of M. I did a bachelor's degree in human ecology. At the time, we were called human ecology. And I followed through with a dietetic internship, which at the time was at the Health Sciences Center. That was back in the day when you interned at a hospital and you stayed there for 10 months and you did all your placements under one roof. It was the only place I knew for the whole year. So obviously from what Christina has shared, a lot has changed since then. After that, after my internship, I did complete a master's degree at the U of M in the field of nutrition, a master's of science degree with a focus on nutrition. And so that ended my academic life. So my first job, I as well took a bit of a gamble. My first job was a clinical dietitian at HSC, and it was 60% of a full-time job working at the lipid clinic. This is where I started off by counseling adults who had high cholesterol or other type of high lipids, lots of weight management, lots of healthy eating, lots of talk about Canada's Food Guide. And for me, it was a bit of I'm calling it a risk only because I was coming from a world of, doing a master's degree and working in research and then going back down to, not back down, but to a different level of working with adults and talking about healthy eating and working on helping them lower their cholesterol, etc. So I did that for about a year and then moved into a more generalized outpatient dietitian role, which included work with children, pediatric obesity, which at the time was a world I didn't even know about. When you don't have kids, working with kids back then was giving advice more to parents and just hoping that it all made sense. So I did that for the first couple of years of my career. And then in 2002, the position came up at Health Sciences Center for research dietitian, it was called at the time. I applied and was given the position. So since 2002, so much has evolved, and that is truly the nature of my position. I advocated for it to be renamed because I do so much educating that I felt it's time to call it research and education. So my title did change about 6 years ago to include research and education, which I appreciated. Again, been doing the position since 2002. So I always get asked, what's my primary area of research? Because as I'll mention, I do work a lot with students. I remember both Taylors in the past in the research course. I work with university professors. I work with dietitians in the community to kind of help them work on projects. But my primary area of research has been working with the Inflammatory Bowel Disease Research and Clinical Group. I'm here at Health Sciences Center. It was my very, very first research project, which I owned. And it basically serves as the foundation for many projects that we've done since then. So in my role there, I've done things from recruiting patients from a clinic signing consent forms with them, sending them to the lab to get their blood work done, doing food frequency questionnaires, doing all the analysis. That sort of turned into doing a lot of data analysis of other projects that came from our team. And it's just been a great story for me to have been part of such an amazing research group. Again, it was with the Crohn's and Colitis Research Group at HSC. So that's kind of my personal research interest and group. Outside of that, I've worked a lot on quality improvement projects within the region, educating with students, educating with colleagues on different nutrition topics, which nutrition changes all the time. So it just takes one hot topic to come through, and all of a sudden we're, as dietitians, looking into this and trying to figure out best practice. So it could be malnutrition, it could be vitamin D supplementation, it could be COVID. How do we manage patients with COVID? So that ironically was something that we looked into last year. So that's an example of where I find myself and where my job takes me. Amongst it all, I've had the opportunity to teach at the university, which has definitely been a big highlight of my career. Just being able to teach some of you nutrition, which I think is a big role in a registered dietitian's world, is to give back to those of you learning. So one of the questions that I was asked to talk about is, do I have a typical day? What does a typical day look like for me? So I can honestly say I don't have a typical day. I always think I have a typical week. And my job sort of involves working with a lot of different teams and a lot of different groups and a lot of different projects, all of which are separate from each other. So what I do for one has no application to the other. So it does end up being a lot of, the way I describe it is I block off my days and my weeks to accommodate for all these different pieces of the pie. So every 6 months or so, I would say I reevaluate where I've been and where I need to go in terms of where projects are at, where planning stages are at, what kind of teaching I need to do. And so, for example, when I was working on a project of where I was recruiting patients into a research study, I would block off time to go to the clinic and recruit patients. So Fridays would be my recruitment day, and I couldn't and wouldn't do anything else on that day. So that kind of is how my days go, or my weeks. If I'm teaching, then I know that we're blocking off days for just teaching. If I need to plan for a report, then we're taking blocking off times for that. So I often think every 6 months or so, I'm sort of reevaluating, okay, what's the plan of attack for the next 6 months to accommodate everything? What I like most about my job is for sure the connections with my colleagues. I've really gotten to know more or less who's doing what in the region. I may not have talked to everybody or met everybody, but I think I know more or less of what's happening. I've met so many patients in my travels. I did do some time on the units at Health Sciences Center working with GI surgery patients and counseling them and doing that hands-on piece. Working with hundreds and hundreds of patients with Crohn's and colitis through the research side of the world has been so rewarding for me. So that's definitely one of the best parts of my job, which again is always evolving. I also like that my job, as I mentioned, is always changing. And an example is, just getting asked to write a report on how do we nutritionally manage patients with COVID, which we did last year. And years ago, I remember being asked to look into vitamin D supplementation for adults. Are we giving them enough? So it could really look like a little bit of everything. Sometimes the hardest part of my job, however, is being part of so many different groups and committees. And you often feel like your hands are in a lot of pots, which can be frustrating from a demand point of view, because if you're the type of person who wants to know everything about what you're doing all the time, it does become a bit draining because you can't. So then I've had to take a step back and say, I'll know a little bit of everything that I do. And if I don't know the answer, I'll know where to find it. And that's an approach that I've tried to instill on other people as well, especially if you get into a job like this where it's not fully specialized, but you are spread into different groups. But what I will truly love forever is the opportunity of being able to travel to present my research at different conferences, to be part of being an author of these papers that we've written as part of our team. I remember being at a conference once and thinking, I'm not supposed to be here because I'm just a dietitian amongst these more important physicians, etc. And it was just a feeling of, no, we do belong in these areas, because as dietitians, we do such amazing work. It is a very specialized field. And definitely the one thing I've loved is just my opportunity to travel and share and publish my research. It's very rewarding. So I chose this profession. It's kind of ironic. It was just out of pure interest in nutrition as a teenager. I remember, going to high school and mentioning it to my advisor, saying, oh, I think I want to be a dietitian. And she's like, well, why would you want to do that? And I was like, I don't know. I just have an interest in nutrition. So I just sort of followed my gut. And I always think back to her comment. I thought, well, it turned out okay in the end. The career choice felt natural and organic for me. I always knew once I was in university, however, that I wanted to do some sort of research. And I always thought, internship or not, I'm doing a master's degree, because it's just something that I wanted to do. If you have an inquisitive kind of mind and you're curious in the research world, then I highly encourage to follow that path. Because, many years down the road after children, etc., you might not want to go back, or you might, but I'm not, I know for sure that I'm glad that my path sort of went from master's to from bachelor to internship to master's degree and work. It just worked for me. Other colleagues of mine, we've worked in so many different areas. So I do work with a lot of clinical dietitians. We have a team of about 45 clinical dietitians at Health Sciences Center alone, and specializing in all sorts of different disease states, kidney disease, intensive care units. We're found in all the different areas. Other dietitians from my cohort have moved into sales type positions. I have a colleague who's in pharmaceutical sales. She's a registered dietitian, but working in a different role. So that's really neat and a very neat opportunity as well. I have close colleagues who work in private practice part-time and work at the hospital part-time. So it's really about what fits for you. And again, sometimes your first job isn't always the end position. I'm a strong believer of higher education. So any students that have a real keen interest in nutrition, I do direct them to pursuing the dietetic internship route. It's a wonderful professional designation with rewards. So you can work in various settings when you graduate. I mean, you've heard from Phyllis, who, I can't even compete with that. You've been all over the place. You've heard Taylor's experiences, and Christina being an academic. It really does span so many different areas. When I look back, I say, I encourage a master's degree or even a PhD if you have that interest, to just go for it, especially if you have a desire, as I mentioned, for research or teaching at the university level. Spending time with someone in research, I think, will show you if this type of position is best for you. So I did mention earlier that I am sort of one of one for research dietitian in the region. However, dietitians do research as part of their everyday job, and you could build that into your job. So spend time job shadowing. I think Taylor had mentioned she had job shadowed. I think it's a great way to learn if this is a real good fit for you in terms of a career. Working in research, I have to say, you need a lot of patience and a lot of dedication, because the rewards come, they're not immediate. When you're counseling patients, I remember thinking the rewards are more immediate, because you're giving information and they're feeling empowered and you're making changes in people's lives. With research, it's a bit slower. It could be 6 months, it could be a year before, or sometimes longer, before you get to see your name on a publication or something that really reflects what you've been working on. Definitely, if you're pursuing a research type or a master's degree type, a research type role, a master's degree is desirable. So just something to think about, something to put into your plan. And having said that I'm one of one, I shouldn't say that too quickly, because there is another research dietitian role at St. Boniface Hospital who also holds a similar role as mine. So I think together, both me and her are hoping that there's one of us in every sort of setting one day. But regardless, dietitians are doing some sort of research in their job in the different roles that they have. It just might not be termed exactly that. So that answers the one other question that I was asked to kind of comment on is the labor market. So again, for research specific type jobs, there's not a lot, but the dietitians, if you're willing to take part-time, small EFTs, there's always a maternity leave. We're a female dominated profession, so there always seems to be a maternity leave that you can jump into and then get experience in that facility. So that's a good way to get your foot in the door. Other than that, that's pretty much my story, and hopefully it inspires you to pursue a career in dietetics.
All right. Thank you so much, Kathy, for sharing that experience too. I really enjoyed sort of you exploring the sort of the fields of education and teaching, as well as the educating clients more directly, and that research piece. Thank you. All right. All right. Would anyone, anyone else, is everyone shared their story that wants to share their story? Any other comments to add? I was going to ask to Dr. Lingell, were you here more to talk about the academic programming, or were you also wanting to speak at this time?
No, I think I could open it up to questions if students have questions.
Perfect. Yeah, well, we do have our, we're going to move to questions, absolutely. And I do see we do have one here, which is about moving into research specifically, where if students wanting to maybe get their some experience doing research, where would be a place to start with that?
Do you want me to start? Okay, so I always say to students, there's lots of opportunities. You just need to seek them out, because sometimes they're out there, and sometimes if you talk to professors, they might have some more ideas. So this is where I would start. So we've got there in our program, we do have research courses that you can take. That are specific, you work specifically with a professor. So it's a 4120, which is a senior thesis. It's a 3 credit hour course. And then there is 4122, which is a 6-hour research course, a 6 credit hour course. And so that is one place to start. It is a 4th year, it is for 4th year students. Also, there's other opportunities. So I always encourage students to look at the website, to talk to their professors. If they're intrigued by research that's being done or they want to learn more, make an appointment with a professor after you've looked at their website to see what they are working on. Sometimes the websites are very, very current. And sometimes there's things that professors are anticipating that they will be doing, but it's not yet on the website. So to talk to them, sometimes they hire research assistants, sometimes they need some volunteers. And so this is a great way to put your foot in for research. And don't be embarrassed to ask. Professors love answering questions. I'm saying that for me, but I know that's what we do a lot. And we love to see your enthusiasm for things that interest you. So I would say that's one thing. The other thing, the university has a program, and I just forgot the name. Taylor, can you help me? It's a summer research program, and applications are always put in round now in February. And it's for summer research, and you get paid and you interview. I know the process, I just don't know the name for some reason. It's
There's two that they can apply for, the U of M URA, which Trevor just sent the link for, and then the NSERC URA, which some of our faculty members have an NSERC grant, so they're eligible to take on students for that. And anyone registered in our faculty will get these opportunities emailed to them, and they can apply the deadlines to apply and the process to apply. And this would be a good opportunity, like Christina mentioned, we do have research courses that are for fourth-year students. This would be an opportunity to get your feet wet with research before that.
And I really do encourage you. I think sometimes students might feel shy, or they might feel they're not good enough. Please don't think that. You know, this is why you're here at university, to learn and grow, and questions and being inquisitive is part of that. So I encourage you to try. If you don't apply, you'll never get in because there's no application. So it doesn't hurt or harm you to apply. If you get it and you don't want it, then you can turn it down. But you don't have that option if you don't apply. And I've had some amazing opportunities for students with URA, amazing opportunities for students, and so has other faculty members, and we've had really good students working with us in all of these capacities. So it's a great opportunity. It's great on your resume. It builds your skill sets. It's an opportunity to network. And remember, you always need references at some point in your life, for programs, for jobs, whether they're summer jobs right now when you go into full-time work. So, you know, you're building this network and you're building your resume through this. So don't be afraid to apply. If you find the applications, you know, you might look at them and go, oh, very daunting. Please ask someone. They will assist you. They'll clarify questions because this is what we do every day, really. We're always filling applications for something, whether it's for grant money or for something. So please ask us. And good luck.
Thank you for that. And we will actually have much more time for questions here too. I did just want to jump in briefly and quickly cover a little bit of just sort of building on some of this information in terms of what career services our office can provide in terms of additional occupational information for dietetics. And then we'll move into some more questions because I'm sure our students have some more, and if they don't, I certainly do. Just our office, career services, we basically serve the entire campus, and we help students with a whole range of things, kind of from first year fresh out of maybe high school to starting university, all the way to people in their PhDs. And we help with talking about giving people essentially information on two different areas. We help people explore occupational information through workshops, info sessions, presentations, just like Discover Your Future in Healthcare. Also, we maintain a large occupational library that I'll get into in just a moment with information that's really relevant to you as someone in Winnipeg trying to study a program or go into a field of work that can kind of give you valuable information on that. The other thing we do is we explore, so one piece is the occupations, what's out there. And the other pieces we explore is you as a person. What do you enjoy? Do you enjoy working more with people? Are you preferring more solitary or individual work? Do you enjoy working with your hands? Are you more someone who enjoys working with data? And trying to help figure out, those types of things can help us narrow down and hone in on our work. We talk about educational pathways. So if you already have a goal, what's the most efficient way to get there? And we also do things like job search, cover letter interviews. We maintain a job board. So all that stuff to sort of support you along the way. I did want to highlight, we maintain a large occupational library with information on a real variety of different types of jobs. In particular though, and I'm going to share this actually in our chat here, that I'll put this in just a moment. So for dietitian and nutritionist, this is a link to our page. And what it is essentially we've put together over 200 of these occupation pages that really give you a summary of what the job's about, different types of roles you might find, education, including those offered at the U of M and those, as Dr. Angel was discussing before, about programs maybe outside of Manitoba as well that are listed here. We include labor market info, how much people get paid, work opportunities, specific job boards, and what was commented on before, different associations that people can join if they're interested. And finally, some external links, including things like local student clubs, organizations, all the way to stuff that's more international in nature, as well as listing off different types of similar or related work. We also offer a number of different mentorship programs. My colleague Lasha Storder, who's on the call today, facilitates and runs our career mentor program. So meeting with professionals in the field to discuss a little bit about their journey and about what they're, what they found enjoyable about the job, as well as advice maybe on for those who are interested in going into the field. Additionally, we have other programs like 10,000 Coffees. You can certainly find these programs on our website to, again, connecting individuals with professionals in the field or fellow students in the program. Finally, I do want to mention our office is open all year round. We don't close for summer. We also offer, 8:30 to 4:30 sessions. Just as you registered on Career Connect, we offer workshops every month on resume, interview, cover letter, and we do offer a career mentor program again from September to April. So if you are interested, I will put the information in the chat for following up with us if you would like to book an appointment one-on-one with a consultant or access some of our other resources. So with that said, I'd like to maybe just open it up to questions again. I do see we have one here. For those interested in the bachelor's degree, what pathway would they recommend or like if they want to continue into a master's degree? As well as though, oh, and maybe I misread that. There's sort of two questions here. So one is, can you please give us some information if we're interested in education after a bachelor's degree? I'm not sure if that's referring to a master's degree or a teaching degree, but maybe we could give them a little bit of info on both those paths.
Yeah, so maybe I'll start with our undergraduate degree could lead to a pathway to education. The Faculty of Education offers a second degree, so students can apply with their undergrad in nutrition to the Faculty of Education for their teaching degree. And there are advisors in the Faculty of Education that can certainly help you go over the application requirements, any admission criteria that you would need to meet for that. But we do have, it would be the human ecology major. You need a teachable major and a teachable minor, and we do meet the requirements for a general science teachable minor and human ecology teachable major. I believe they do recommend some family social sciences courses as well if that's the route, but definitely I would recommend contacting education directly to find out more about their teachable options.
Thank you, Taylor. I will maybe put a link to the applicant bulletin for education in our chat, which really walks through what they need. As you said, education is very specific about, you need particular courses in as well as a degree completed prior to entering into it. I'm curious too if that would then qualify you to also if you were wanting to do a master's degree in nutrition.
Yeah, our undergraduate degree, you can apply for the MSc in Human Nutritional Sciences with. It does meet the academic criteria. Students are responsible for securing a supervisor to take them on in the MSc program, and then would need to meet any Faculty of Graduate Studies admission requirements, such as a minimum 3.0 in the last 60 credit hours of their undergraduate program.
Perfect. Thank you.
Can I just
I'll send the contact information for our master's program.
Sorry, can I make a comment after Taylor? I just want to mention that it doesn't matter what degree you have, it's how you market your skill sets. And so, I have students always saying, well, what if I don't become a dietitian? Or what if I don't get a master's? Will I get a job? And there are jobs out there. And right now we're finding different types of jobs that are created that fit the skill sets of our students. I've got students that have worked for pharmaceutical companies at sales reps as an undergraduate, graduate from our program. So they're looking for skill sets, not necessarily having a pharmacy degree. We have students working for the food service industry. We have students working for different types of food commodities, whether they're dietitians or not dietetic trained. We have students working with research groups as a research coordinator. I've seen them at an undergraduate level, but really more recently with a master's degree, because you're learning different skills as you advance in taking different degrees. So it's really important that you remember, it doesn't matter what degree, it's how you market yourselves, network with others, learn to see what positions excite you. I was told this many years ago, and when I was a student, someone asked me, if you can get the ideal job today, what would it be? And so what I did was I looked into just different job postings that were available at the time. And if I wanted a certain job, what would it be? And I looked, and then I looked at the path that I would need to take to get a job similar to that. So if it says a requirement is, BSc nutrition, if it's a requirement is that you're a registered dietitian, or you need a master's or a PhD or a specific skill sets, what do you need to take to get there? And I think that's really important as we plan to always be proactive. Our paths always change. So, sometimes we drive our car to our nearest grocery store and there is something blocking that road. So what other path do we take to get there? And that's what happens sometimes. And we have to be creative. And sometimes it's a journey and things evolve. And so for me, I'm a registered dietitian, but my journey evolved. I would have never thought when I was 18 years old that I would be having this job today, because that's not what I really want to be a registered dietitian and work in a nursing home. And so it all evolved because of my internship and my experiences there. And then just being really inquisitive and asking questions, and that kind of landed me in this journey. So I encourage all of you to be excited. When you're excited about something, that's kind of where the area you should look at pursuing, talking to people, networking, and see what's available.
Thanks so much for that, Dr. Lingell. I wanted to kind of build on that too, that I really liked how you talked about kind of going also to sometimes the jobs themselves and looking up, I always recommend too looking up job postings because employers are often pretty clear about what they want. And then we're in our office, we're big into advocating how do you bridge where you are now with what the job posting is asking for in order to do that. Would anyone else like to add or build on that? Taylor, looks like
if that one was done, I was going to jump in instead of typing out the volunteer question. I was going to answer it verbally. Yeah, volunteer is definitely recommended and a great way to build your resume, show your commitment to the dietetics profession, and gain some transferable skills, gain a reference. Any student registered in the Human Nutritional Sciences program does get sent, and we get lots of volunteer opportunities that are specific for nutrition students, and we send those out directly to students who are registered in the program. So that's another reason why it's important to apply and get in the faculty as soon as possible, because you get access to this information. But there are also lots of community programs and opportunities that exist outside of the ones that we send. So, do a quick search, nutrition volunteer opportunities, nutrition community programs, and contact them to see if they're looking for volunteers. Taking the initiative never hurts instead of waiting for opportunities to come your way.
Absolutely. I'll also share a resource in the chat for Manitoba 211, which is a really helpful resource where you can type in a type of service or support that you're looking for, such as food and nutrition, your location, and it tells you different organizations that provide resources in that area going out from your location. So you'd still have to look through them to see if they offer volunteering, but that's one. Our occupational page, which was shared earlier, also includes a number of resources. Thank you, though,
Just want
Taylor.
to,
Go ahead.
sorry. I just want to touch on what Taylor said too, is that with volunteer work, I would start at maybe the university level if you're not familiar with nutrition in general until you really get into the courses and talk to the professors. But at the university level, there's lots of opportunities to volunteer. So in terms of nutrition, you don't always need to just volunteer with nutrition organizations. It's nice to do that, but you can start with any other volunteer experiences. It all builds those really valuable transferable skills. So it doesn't matter where you do that, as long as you're doing things that are building your skill set. So I'm always concerned when people say, oh, I'm helping with stuffing envelopes or folding brochures. That's not developing your skill sets, but shadowing, helping develop brochures, researching things, working with the volunteer coordinators or the preceptors is really, really important. So starting at the university level, you can talk to other students, look at, orientation. There's all kinds of different opportunities to volunteer there. When you look at our own department, we have our student organization called NICO. They're always looking for reps. They're wonderful. They're such a really great group of students that are so excited about our university and our department. And they're good mentors too to start with. So there's those types of organizations. And then it's kind of networking. Once people talk and say, oh, I heard that such and such is looking for a volunteer. You have guest speakers coming in classes. You've got professors. You can ask them, do you know of any opportunities? I have students always ask me about opportunities. I work with older adults. So usually the information I give them are pertaining to long-term care facilities. But if they're saying, do you know if we can work with, a kids program, then I'll say, oh, I think I know someone who does. So it's a matter of networking. And then eventually you'll find where you need to be. But always just asking questions, and don't feel bad about asking questions. That's the only way you can get answers. So these are things you can do. And then talking to your peers, but being connected in these groups are really, really important because people know different types of information. I hope that helps.
Perfect. Thank you. I'm seeing a question here about a chance to grab the link for the shadowing program. I'm going to ask if maybe they could expand on that a little bit more. I'm not sure if anyone in our panel is aware of any particular established job shadowing programs for dietitians and if they're running right now, but that seems to be one other question that people are wondering about.
I mean, through Health Sciences Center, just I guess on the topic of volunteering, I think Christina made a good point too. Sometimes it doesn't have to be with the nutrition department per se, but every site has a volunteer department that you can at least get experience in a facility and maybe end up working using the skill set that you have. Now for job shadowing, I know with us, like we get those requests and we accommodate them if we're able. So if you wanted to job shadow a clinical dietitian or somebody working an outpatient or even myself, those requests have been accommodated in the past at the hospital. But I just don't know what's happening now with COVID. So things are a bit on hold perhaps.
Right. Thank you. I'm not seeing other questions at the moment, but I did have one for the panel. I was curious if there's anything in your career in dietetics that has been unexpected for you, both positive, but maybe also if there's a challenge of some type that maybe came up that has sort of over the course of your career, as well as anything that might be like a positive or that would stand out. I'm curious if anyone would like to comment on that.
Hi, this is Phyllis. And I would say that one thing that has come up for me, which I have taken additional training for, is in the area of vicarious trauma. And to just briefly explain what that is especially in the work that I do with outpatient work and also most specifically with mental health, is not to hold on to the information given by the client as I continue my life into that day. And so that was somewhat of an awakening for me to recognize how it's an easy, how can I say, an easy thing to do by human nature in our caring within our profession, to carry the load of what is shared with us in our counseling sessions. Because yes, we are there as nutrition professionals. However, a part of that realm of work will include the patient explaining a lot of the trauma that they have experienced in their life, leading to perhaps even that counseling session. So it's also the experience of knowing how to let go, and also to know who else within our health system would be an ideal person to refer that patient on, so that we continue to work as a dietitian in a team relationship with other professionals, including social work, psychologists, psychiatrists, etc. So that would be one thing that really has sort of come to resonate with me. And I think from the experience of the workshop and the work that I've been doing in relation to that and continuing my outpatient work and mental health work has really been an asset. So that would be one thing that would probably be a little bit offside to the nutritional field.
Thank you so much for that. Oh. Yeah. So sort of the discussion of vicarious trauma and kind of becoming aware of what we, when we care and we support our clients, that we're being mindful of how much we carry that in our work and in our lives. Anyone else like to add on to that?
Trevor, can I just continue what Phyllis said? And I teach management and nutrition management at the university, and I talk about what Phyllis said, and I think it's so important. And I think it's not recognized until you really get into the work and realize how there could be a lot of just you're holding a lot in you every time you talk to a client. For me, it's student. For me, it's just other things going on around me, either work and home life too. So I always tell students is that when you go in to meet a client, whether, and I'm talking about Phyllis's clients, my students, teaching, anything when you're going into your job, you've got to be completely present with that person. So dropping that bag that you have on your back at the door. So when you, I'm talking about like not physically, but if it's things that's really on your shoulders, you check it in at the door. And when you go in with the client, that you remain present. It seems easy, it isn't. But when you practice these things on a daily basis, it becomes easier. Or you do other things to try to clear your head. So whether you take a little break in between clients, and this is what I do. I teach, and I shouldn't share this with everyone, but I'm a really nervous speaker, and I've always been, and it's crazy. You'd think I'm going to get better at it, but it's not getting better at it. It's getting better at managing it. So what I do is I need to have my Zen moment for a half hour before I start class. And so when I'm ready to go, you might not have a half an hour, but if you can have a few minutes, or if you need to drink some water or have that fabulous cookie that will calm you down or anything like that, then those are things that you need to do. And you'll find what you need and what works best for you. The other thing I want to talk about is work-life balance. It's a huge thing. And now with COVID, I don't even know if there's a separation for me between work and life, because I'm sitting in my kitchen and it's just all colliding together. And sometimes you get really stressed and you're thinking, how do I even separate that? Because I'm always here, which I love, don't get me wrong. But, and I thought I figured it out when I was going back to work and forth and separating, the two physical places. But now I've got to do some new adapting. And so I think it's being flexible, not being so hard on yourself, because I think that really is to say, oh, I'm just not good at it. No, you're good at it. You just got to learn new strategies. And I think that is what I'm continuing and doing. I'm not good at it these days, but I'm trying really hard. And I think it's a great activity to always check in for yourself, because there's all kinds of things that you're going to be dealt, and it's how to manage those things, whether it's really good management or you're just trying to get by just to manage those situations. So, and remember, there is always supports. At the university, we've got all these different counseling supports. There's supports as a student, if you need any kinds of services on campus, but also as an employee. Check out to see what kinds of employee assistance programs that are out there. It is there and available to you to use. Don't be embarrassed to use them. It's all confidential. It only will help you to get through tough times or challenging times and can't quite figure out the strategies that you might need. So I encourage you that this is for lifelong learning.
Thank you so much for that. I am going to quickly put a link actually to the on-campus counseling resources from the Student Counseling Center. They offer a number of workshops as well as individual sessions that are offered kind of throughout the year. I'm also just going to put our career services information in there. We are at 11:30 at this point. I want to thank all the panelists for being here. If there's any closing comments that people want to make as we wrap up for today?
If I could just add for Dr. Langell, well put, excellently well put. And that would be from someone who's been in the field for a long, long time. Thank you so much, Dr. Langell.
Yes. And thank you to everyone for being open today and about your journeys, as well as sharing some of these, the very real challenges that can be when we're working with the human condition and working with trying to, move people forward in their nutrition and their well-being in their lives. We do have some contact information here that is in the chat. Again, thank you everyone for your time. If you do have follow-up questions with your career, you're welcome to reach out to our office. We're happy to have an appointment with you, either with myself or another consultant. And Taylor is also putting the contact information into the academic office. I'll ask the presenters to just stay on for a moment if you do have another minute. And for our guest today, you're